Hi, room 301. This is Mrs. Dawes. I miss each of your faces, and I hope that all of you are staying well. I'm so proud of all the ways that you rose to the challenge of distance learning last week. Mrs. Dooley and I have been talking about how proud we are of each of you. When we were thinking about the reading and literacy that you're going to do this week, we were really wishing we could call you all to the rug for a lesson to explain and show you what was going on. So I decided to create a PowerPoint and pretend that you're on the rug with me, and we'll do a little reader's workshop work together. So this reader's workshop is for the whole week. It's going to cover what you're doing and your tasks, okay? So I created a teaching point. In order to organize research, readers reflect on their big idea to make a thesis statement, and they review their research to determine 3 subtopics that support their big idea. So really you have 2 steps this week. You're reflecting on your big idea and writing a thesis statement, and you're reviewing your research to determine 3 subtopics. Okay, let me show you what I mean. When you're reflecting on your big idea, I want you to remember that you have an idea statement. You wrote that on a Post-it note, most of you who were still with us at school before distance learning began. We thought about the topics that we were really interested in. You narrowed it down, you looked at your topics, and then you made a connection or an inference to make your topic statement, okay? Now I want you to reflect, as you reflect on your topic statement, I want you to remember the big question at the beginning of the unit. When we first started looking at our informational reading, we were trying to answer the big question, how did the American colonies grow and develop? So you thought of all kinds of different ways that the American colonies grew and developed. And then you narrowed down topics you were interested in. So in the direction that we're going now with your informational paper, you're not answering this whole question. You've picked a topic to cover. But this idea might help you to think through the wording of your topic to make it into a thesis statement. All right, I'm going to show you what I mean. So let's look at my work from our last reader's workshop. So I made an inference and I modeled the topic of schools. And I said schools in colonial America were different from schools today. I could reshape this if I think about that question, how did the American colonies grow and develop? And I could say my topic this way. As the colonies started growing, they developed schools, which were different than schools today. Notice how my statement answers something clearly. I'm explaining in my thesis statement what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about as the colonies grew, they developed schools and that they were different from schools today. Same idea as what I had, I'm just making it into a solid statement. Okay, that gives my paper, it's going to give my whole writing purpose. Okay, so let me show you with another topic that we modeled. So here's my other example. In my inference connection for the topic of New England economies, I said, the economy of New England was based on the resources in the area. I could reshape this really simply to say the resources of the New England colony helped it grow and develop. That is my solid way of saying what I'm going to talk about. I'm talking about some aspect of growth or development, and I'm addressing what I'm going to talk about. So you're going to do this with your topic sentence. You're going to make it into a thesis statement, meaning you're going to tell the eventual reader the main idea of your whole paper, okay? Then your next step is to come up with your subtopics. Writers often organize their work into a big idea and 3 subtopics. We will do the same thing. Remember, we did this recently with our opinion writing, where our thesis statement actually had our opinion and our 3 subtopics in one big thesis statement. Here, I want you to write your main idea and first, and then I want you to think about your supporting ideas. So when you think about your ideas, I want to remind you that these are 3 ideas or reasons that all support your main idea, your main topic. And your reasons need to be broad enough that you could write a whole paragraph about them, but narrow enough that they support your main idea. I don't want you to have 3 papers within a paper. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Let's take my example of my topic of schools. Here is my statement again. As the colonies started growing, they developed schools which were different than schools today. And here is my list. This is a list, if I went back through my research, of some of the things I think I could talk about that I've learned that helped me come up with my topic statement. So in some cases, only boys went to school. Many children did not go to school. Schools in some colonies were based on religion. Children learned Latin. Memorizing was very important. And discipline was different. Some of these feel pretty good. Some of these seem to say something pretty similar. And some of these seem pretty small. Let me show you what I mean. So the first 2, in some cases only boys went to school. I could write a couple sentences about that because I could write about that. I could first explain that and I could write about why. But I don't know if I could build a whole paragraph. But my next point, many children did not go to school. Gosh, if I used that, I could also talk about how girls did not go to school, only boys went to school. And let's see, the second one, schools in some colonies were based on religion. That seems like I could probably write a good paragraph about that. Children learned Latin, memorizing was very important, and discipline was different, are all pretty small. I don't know how much I could write about each one of those. But I could write a paragraph where I talk just all about how the school curriculum and the way that they learned was a little bit different. So let me show you how I would organize that into 3 points. My subtopics would be not all children went to school. Then I could explain myself more clearly about what I mean by that and all the research details I have. I could say religion played a role in many schools. And I could talk about how different colonies were based on different religions. So sometimes that was, their schools were based on religion. And the way students learned was very different. Then I could talk about all 3 of my little ideas that I had. Okay, I want to show you something else. I could take the same topic, schools, and the same thesis statement, and I could organize it differently. I noticed in my research that my research was organized by each type of colony. My information on schools is organized by New England schools, middle colony schools, and southern colony schools. I could organize my paper that way. I could have these be my 3 subtopics and explain the ways each of those colonies had schools different from today. So I just want to show you that there are a couple different ways to think about subtopics for any topic that you have. All right, I want to look at another topic and thesis statement and see if you can help me come up with my subtopics. Let's practice together. So I took the New England economy topic, and my research and my thesis statement is the resources of the New England colony helped their economy grow and develop. Here are my 5 points that I pulled out from my research that I think really, maybe I was thinking at first they could be subtopics. So I want you to look at them. Fishing and lumber were major resources. Whaling was important. New England became an exporter of cod. That's a type of fish. New England exported lumber. Remember, export is when they sell goods. And they hunted whales because they provided lamp oil. Okay, I want you to look at these. Pretend you're turning and talking to your partner, maybe. And what would you pull as your 3 subtopics for the New England colony economy topic? All right. Take a look. I don't know if I'm giving you enough time. but I'm going to go ahead and show you my responses. So I could say the abundance of fish helped their economy. That way I'm combining the resource of fish, and I can talk all about cod in there too. I can say they exported lumber from their forests. I can talk about different ways they cut lumber, used lumber, and I can talk about whales from the ocean becoming a big resource. I can talk about what the whales were used for in that paragraph. Basically, I'm choosing fish, lumber, and whales as my subtopics. Okay? All right. You are going to do this week. We have a Google Doc for you, and it's kind of organized. Basically, you're putting your thesis statement in a box at the top, and then you're going to put your supporting points, reasons, or subtopics 1, 2, 3. I just gave you different things that they're called. You're going to put 1, 2, and 3 in your Google Doc. And the last step is that you are going to, after Mrs. Julie and I will give you feedback on your subtopics, you're going to organize your research on that Google Doc into the subtopics. So you're turning in your thesis statement and you're identifying your 3 subtopics. When you get your feedback, you're going to start plugging your research into there are 3 boxes, big boxes in your Google Doc for your research on each subtopic. That way you can see if you think you have enough research in each subtopic to build a paragraph. And if you want to keep working on, like, let's say you have a big point, a big subtopic, but you don't think you have enough research yet, you could keep filling it in. Okay? Readers, if you have any questions, Mrs. Julie and I are available to Google chat with you if needed on this, and we will be giving you feedback. Good luck. We're thinking of you and miss you. Okay, bye.